Hey everybody, welcome back to Half Done Outdoors. Today we're going to be working on a 3D printed jaw jacker. I'm going to get it put together tonight, and then shortly I'll have a video coming up of using it at Strawberry Reservoir. Alright, so is what we have. I'll start off with the aluminum pieces. I have a piece of aluminum. I cut this to 22.5 inches. Both of these are going to be the legs that are going to go right up here towards the front. They're both about 7.5 inches. We've got the rod holder that's 3D printed. This is going to be the piece that connects all three pieces together. These three pieces are the trigger assembly for it. These are the 2 feet that are going to go out on the ends of the shorter pieces to help stabilize everything. And then we have just a pipe plug and some washers. And we'll go to work on it, and I'll show you what my idea is so I can make it a little bit more adjustable. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to mark it with a Sharpie, and then I'm going to come in and about every inch to 1.5 inches I'm going to drill a hole. That way I'll be able to adjust this for different lengths of fishing rods. Alright, now I'm going to come in every inch and mark this just probably 6 inches in or so. Let's see here. We'll probably go right to 8 inches. I'll mark it. And I know that this piece of aluminum is a little longer than what I need, but I do have on the printer right now, I'm working on a jigging base for it, so it's kind of like the jaw jacker with a jigging base. I just don't have it all put together yet and finalized, so we'll get that figured out too, and we'll post another video on that. Alright, so we got those all drilled, about 1 inch apart. So now we can slide this on there. Looks like they're all going to line up pretty close for the most part. But yeah, that's going to work out good. Alright, so next step is going to be assembling the trigger. So we're going to go to work on that. I have noticed on it, I did assemble one of these before, and you do need to file this a little bit if you want it to slide together real easy. Otherwise it's a little bit of a tight fit to get it to kind of slide down. You can see there's a little bit of a notch there for it. I'll run a file down each side of it right here real quick. Just helps loosen it up just a little. Alright, so I got that filed down, got it fit together. It's kind of a snug fit. So we're going to go ahead and get a bolt put down in here. It'll poke through this other side. It'll get these two held together. The bolts that I'm using are a 10 by 24. And I am going to use lock nuts on all of them. I just don't want it rattling apart, getting there and missing screws or something like that. You guys can take note of the tool that I'm using. Some high quality Stanley needle nose. Alright, so we got this put together. We're going to get it put onto the pipe here. Alright, so we got that put on. We'll get a hole drilled in it and get our bolt down through it. Alright, so we got that put in. Does hang out the bottom a little bit, but that's not going to be a big deal. And I'll show you why in just a minute. These are our legs for it. We're going to want them to be able to come in here, and they're going to need to pivot to come out like this. Well, we're going to mark it with the drill because the marker wouldn't fit down in there. As you can see, we're not going in very far. I don't know if you can see that little mark on there or not. We're not going in very far because we do want it to be able to pivot, and we're not really worried about the strength of the aluminum. It'll hold up long after this plastic will. Once you get the legs mounted on there, make sure that they will pivot back on themselves. It'll just help transporting it. It'll make it a little bit more compact for you. These are the legs for it. There is a left one and a right one. I've got two of the same one right now. I'll grab a different one. I'm planning on making a couple of these and using them on a fishing tournament that I'm going to. But they're just going to slide in. We'll get some bolts put in it, and I'll show you what I'm going to do there. Alright, so I got the feet mounted on there. As you can see, when this is all said and done, everything will fold up, kind of come back into itself, just to help with the space of it. The reason I said that I wasn't too concerned about this bolt poking through is I'm leaving these ones just a little bit longer. I don't know how many of you have seen the actual jaw jacker, but they have some pretty good spikes that come out to help hold it onto the ice. I'm kind of hoping that these will do the same thing. I may sharpen them in the future, I'm not sure. Let's get the trigger assembly put together and go from there. Alright, so as you can see on this side, it's got that little notch. This has a little notch in it, and they'll slide right together. I did file that down a little just to help it so it'll slide in there a little easier. And then the rest of the trigger, it's going to go right in here. On the 3D print file, there's a plastic nut and that they want you to print, and they want you to stop partway through to put a nut down in there so that you can thread a bolt into it to adjust the tension on this. Is what I've decided to do is I'm just going to use a hex head bolt. It'll fit right down in here. I'll drill that out just a little bit and then use a wing nut on it. Just seems like it'll hold up a little bit better than what the plastic one would. And I'm not a professional with a 3D printer. I'm not sure how to stop it in order to get that nut in there at the right time. Alright, so we got it all put together. That's going to be the front trigger assembly. Those are the feet. Remember, I left the screws a little bit long on those, so they'll hopefully stick down into the ice. We've got the back in here. I'm just using a wing nut. Eventually I'll probably get a D-ring that will just kind of fit around all this so that I can adjust it a little easier. Let's grab a fishing pole and I'll show you how it works. Alright, so the way that this works, you just slide your pole down into here. I am using this right here on the end. It is Jaw Jacker brand. And that helps so that we can set the trigger. If you don't want to buy one of those, you could use a piece of wire or a piece of fishing line or anything that you could make a loop on the end. I'm going to bring you right down here and show you how we set the trigger. Those of you that do fish strawberry, could this be the strawberry killer? Little treble hook on there, you never know. I may have just given you one of the best kept secrets. So you just put the loop through there, flip this up, That holds it. You set your line down through the notch right there. You can adjust the tension of how much pull you want the fish to have before it sets that trigger off. Fish comes along, bites it, flips that up, and it sets the hook. So I'll do that again at a different angle so you can see what it does to the fishing pole. Very simple to set though. I've had the PVC ones where you use a coat hanger to try to make them. They work, but you're not able to set the tension on the trigger at all. So the fish comes along, bites it, and it sets the hook. Overall, it's a pretty easy build. It does take a while to print them. If you want a good print quality out of them. One thing I would recommend, the trigger here, I've noticed is a little bit fragile. I do print that at 100% infill on that. But we'll take this to Strawberry next time we go, and we'll test it out on some real fish. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.